Hey everyone, my name is Jarek Ostrowski. I'm CEO and co-founder of Distro MFG. I hire people to make, pack, and ship my products from all over the country, and I want to show you how you can do it too. Let's get started. I started a company last year called Lone Birch. You can go check it out. It's lonebirch.co, where I make high quality desk products out of domestic hardwoods like walnut and oak. Really beautiful stuff. And I launched an Etsy store last year, and a few of the products started getting really popular. And I was like, this is awesome. But then you run into this problem where you have more demand than you can keep up with. So, one of the questions I had for myself was, okay, so how do we take this business to the next step now that I'm, really selling a lot of these? I don't have time to uh, spend in the shop and trying to scale the business at the same time. So when demand is more than you can meet, what do you do? How do I scale? So that's the question a lot of people end up asking themselves. And you have two options basically. The first option is to outsource. You could go find a local manufacturer. There is a couple near me in New Hampshire. It's not as there's not too many around here, but there are some. You could also look at going overseas, which is a whole, other set of potential issues. And some of these are, they have high minimums, whether you're a local manufacturer or working with somebody overseas. All the supply chain issues that have been happening over the past few years, you could be running into those long lead time. So what happens if you have a big influx of orders coming in and you need 1,000 of a certain product and the lead time is 2 months, but you need the products now? What do you do? And that's another risk that you run into when you have a single source of uh, single point of failure, basically by relying on a single manufacturer to make your products. So I frankly didn't like any of those options, considering, I wanted to be cost efficient and I didn't want to spend uh, our family's savings or take out a second mortgage on our house to do that stuff. So that just didn't make sense to me. The other option is to go into manufacturing yourself, make the stuff yourself. Just instead of just you making it, you hire other people to make it. You find a local space, you get space. You might need even more space for inventory or a warehouse or something like that, depending on, the size of your products. Now my products are decent size. They're not, small. So I was going to need a decent sized space, and I actually did go look at a space. So I did try look into these two options. And when I went to this local shop and garage, the space was great, whatever, but it was still, 15, 20 minutes away from my house. We just had our son. He was a newborn, and, my wife was at home on maternity leave trying to take care of him. And I wanted to be there nearby in case she needed anything. And so I talked to the guy who owned the space and wanted to lease the space, and he was asking for a 5 year minimum lease commitment. And I'm like, that's crazy, man. So I I didn't want to go and do that either. So some of the problems here are, not only do you need to lease the space with a long minimum lease, you need to pay employees, health insurance, all these kinds of things. For me in particular, getting insurance to cover workers' comp because we're working with power equipment and it's dangerous stuff. Um, Doubling my equipment, basically, tripling my equipment, depending on the capacity and not clogging up. Like I was talking about, single point of failure for a supplier or like a manufacturer. You don't want a single source of failure on a piece of equipment, because if you're just standing around and products aren't being made, then that's an issue too. So more equipment, more overhead, um, keeping the lights on, keeping the rent going. You have those costs. So there was just all these things were just telling me this didn't make any sense either. So I went back to an idea that I had thought of. I come from the tech world and I worked at an all remote company where we were all over the world, 60 countries, and we were a software company. So it made sense because we could work from the computer. But I thought, well, I feel like we could do this with physical products because there's already a huge woodworking community of people with way nicer equipment than I have throughout the country. I could hire them and get the benefit of having them make it closer to my customers so that I also save on shipping as well as a business owner, which is huge because I want to offer free shipping to my customers. Yeah, so basically both options are going to cost a lot of money, which even if you have it, it's kind of a waste when you think of this new third option, which is distributed manufacturing. The interesting thing about distributed manufacturing is that it might seem sort of new, or you might not know about it because it's not one of the two obvious options. But with it, you can hire people to make, pack, and ship your products from all over the country, and frankly, the world really. If you wanted to expand internationally, that's a much easier to go into those markets with distributed manufacturing than with the first two options. This means you don't have a factory, you don't have inventory, you don't have a warehouse, and you don't have any new equipment that you need to get. All you need are skilled people from all over the world that already own the equipment they need to make your product. So for me, I had woodworking equipment that I used to make my wood desk products. And I knew the woodworking community is massive, and I know for a fact that there's other people with nicer equipment throughout the country that have way nicer spaces than I do, that I could just hire and have them make it as long as they had a few key things. So that's the real question. It's like, okay, I know there's people with this equipment. I know I want to do this. I know I want to save. I know I don't want a factory, a shop, a warehouse, inventory. I can do made to order. So, like, how do I do this? And the answer is that it's not easy, but it's really also not as hard as you think. So, you need a few things: a computer, which most people have. You need product specs and documentation, which you also might have as well if you've gone and tried to hire somebody in the past, but it didn't work out. Maybe somebody locally, or it's really not hard to create product specs and documentation. There's a lot of really easy tools out there to help you do this. And then you also need the software to distribute orders, print shipping labels, and request pickup. So that was what I found was the difficult thing for me to find. And so having that tech background and design background, I decided to launch Distro MFG, which would serve as our software to enable this at Lone Birch, but we've since transitioned to make this a publicly available app for other companies to use. So the way it works is you can connect your Shopify store. So Lone Birch has a Shopify store where we sell our products at lonebirch.co. It pulls in our orders. Then I can go ahead and assign them to makers that I've trained and that I have already onboarded and hired based on doing a sample process and vetting their quality, which I'll get into in another video. And so the really cool thing about being able to assign this to makers is that if I get a customer in Washington, I can I can assign an order to my maker in Washington, and I'm going to save 60% on shipping, which I should have mentioned in the slide. It would cost me upwards of $30, and it would cost them about 10 to ship a certain product. So that's incredible savings on our margins, especially because our handmade goods, margins aren't typically as high as some other products. So that really makes a huge impact. Then once you assign them, they make, pack, and print a label right from the app. And then they request pickup, and it's sent directly to the customer. And one thing I didn't mention is that they also get paid. So simply when I get an order from a customer on our Shopify store, I assign it to a maker, they make, pack, print the label, request pickup, and then they get paid, all while I get to sit on a beach somewhere or whatever. Like, this would be nice. Actually, I haven't been on vacation in a while, but this could be you. You can do it from your phone. You assign makers, and then they fulfill orders for you. Of course, you're going to want to go through a sample process beforehand, but this could be you. Nice beach. And let's go ahead and show you the app so far. Okay, so once you have an account in Distro and you connect your Shopify store, import your products, and add your specs and documentation for your makers, you're going to start getting orders in from Shopify when those customers make orders. So here's the dashboard of your orders page. When orders come in, they'll come here and show as an open order that you can assign to the correct maker. And so I see a new order for a desk shelf, 44 inch, and I know Martin is making those for me, so I'm going to go ahead and assign him. And what's going to happen is Martin's going to go ahead and get an email saying that he got a new order. Then he's going to come to his dashboard, which I'll show you in a sec. All right, so when Martin logs in, he's going to see his list of orders that he needs to complete. So he came to see this new order for the 44-inch desk shelf, so he goes to that page. And then he, once he packs it, he's ready to go ahead and print a shipping label. He'll print the shipping label, and then the package size, dimensions, and weight will be pre-filled based on what you put in for those product specifications. He's going to go ahead and print a label. That label is going to generate, and it's going to open in a new window. Then he can go ahead and print the label to attach to the package that he's packed. And then once that happens, we fulfill the order in Shopify. It sends a notification to the customer with the tracking ID that we get back from the shipping label. And now we can see we have a completed order with the tracking number that Martin has completed. And he's doing this all on his own. From there, he'll have a list of packages that are made, packed, and have a shipping label. He can go ahead and request a pickup. He'll go ahead and schedule a date for the pickup. Default is the next day. He'll give notes for the driver and say, front porch, for example. He'll go ahead and request a pickup, and the carrier will show up at his house to pick those packages up. So yeah, that's the basic demo of how order fulfillment and label printing and pickups work. I invite you to go to distromfg.com to sign up to be an early access member. You'll be the first to know when we launch Distro for other companies to use, and hopefully that'll be happening soon. So if you are looking to scale production with your 3D printer business, woodworking business, garment business, basically if you can make products from home or others can make your products from home, I invite you to explore the third option, distributed manufacturing. And we're making that more accessible than ever with Distro MFG. We're already doing this with Lone Birch. I currently have 7 makers across the country from Washington to Virginia to Vegas, saving me 60% on shipping, sometimes more. I'll put all the links from this video in the description so that you can check them out. You can sign up to be an early access member. And if you have any questions or comments or want to know more about how I ensure quality with my products or anything of that nature of how I also make this work aside from just the software, please let me know. I'm happy to make follow-up videos for that. And thanks for your time, and I'll see you soon.